Hey guys, it's Jedi Lex, and welcome to the 22nd episode of Beyond Tatooine, where I bring on different collectors to talk about how their love of Star Wars originated, as well as take a look at and chat about their collections. And on today's episode, I have PeeJay from the Paradox Nerd channel, as well as the Sithcast podcast. So how are you doing today?
Oh, Lex, thank you for having me on the show. Yeah, this is not where I usually stream. This is like my Star Wars room. I figure you'd be the first to kind of see what's going on with the work in progress that is in the background, which is my collection. So
Yeah.
glad to be on and talking collectibles and Star Wars. So by the way, you'll be the first one to kind of see my collection in a while. So pretty cool that we're
Okay.
doing it on your
This is
podcast.
very exciting then. We got a little bit of an exclusive going on.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. So
still
I
work
mean,
in progress, but
yeah,
yeah.
but when you have it all finished and stuff, I could even have you back on, and we could take a
Oh
look
yeah.
at the progress that you've made, because I'm sure it's going to turn out amazing.
Yeah, you can see the before and after.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
you won't see these boxes like laying around here.
Yeah, I know. I have a whole bunch of stuff. I like order stuff and then I don't even like open it, and I'm like, I gotta get around to like unboxing these. And sometimes I'm just like, I'm not even gonna review it. Like, I just need to get the box like out of my sight. So it's
Yeah,
tough.
yeah. It's I guess you could say that's life of a YouTuber or a content creator. It's like one of those things. Sorry, like my phone. It's just one of those things where yeah, you get something and you're like, oh yeah, I'm so excited to open it, but it's like, wait, I need this for like content. So
Yep,
uh, yeah.
it's
So
tough.
I know the pains very well.
Yep, I usually have like a nice like stack of things, and I'm like, I just gotta get around to doing it. But it would make good
Mhm.
content. But sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I just need to get the box like out of the way. Like, I cannot keep staring at it for weeks. So
Mhm.
I try my
Yeah,
best. But I mean, for
yeah,
people who may not be following you, can you tell us a little bit about your channel, your podcast, what you guys focus on, and where people can find you?
yeah. So obviously, I have my own channel, which is the Paradox Nerd. In that channel, I kind of did when I was pretty active in that channel, which I'm looking to get back into being a little bit more active soon. I was doing a lot of reviews, a lot of Hot Toys reviews of just kind of like pretty much everything, mostly Star Wars. But I was doing like Marvel at the time. I'm still kind of doing it a little bit, but I think when I get back into it full time again, or should I say just like part time, I would probably just kind of focus on Star Wars just because I have a lot of Star Wars stuff that I have to unbox and review. Uh, yeah, so a different direction with that channel, but if you're a Star Wars fan, definitely give me a follow. And then I do have the Sithcast podcast, which is a Star Wars podcast where we pretty much talk in anything and everything Star Wars. We had you on the show, I would say 2 or 3 weeks ago, which was a lot of fun. So that podcast we come on every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, or since we're always late, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. Um, yeah, it's just like a fun podcast where, like I said, we talk anything and everything Star Wars, including movies, TV shows, collectibles. Yeah. So
Yeah. It is
thank you.
fun, and I appreciate you again for having me on a few weeks ago. It was really awesome, and I figured I gotta get the boys on my podcast, so here we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw you had Sean a couple of weeks ago, which
Yeah.
was a very fun interview. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's my co-host for that podcast. So glad to see him on the show.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Plus his collection is like crazy. I was like, wow, like some of the things that he has, I was like, I didn't even realize that that fan was like yours. Like I've seen it all around and it's your
Mhm.
fan. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's the fan that made him famous. Like it's yeah, a lot of people know him as the fan guy.
The fan guy.
But yeah, he's got a really good collection. I think he's about he's curated that collection for a very long time, and you can see it's well displayed. So that's another thing that I'm probably gonna take a page out of his playbook, just because I have a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff, but I just can't come to terms with how to display them. And that's the other aspect of collecting that people do tend to forget is that, okay, we bought this awesome piece. What do I do with it? Right. And that's when the creative juices start flowing. And you're like, how do I, long term, how does this display in my collection?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally a different side. It's one thing going out and purchasing it, but then when it comes to displaying it, do I just want to put it up on a shelf and leave it? Do I want to add some lights to get some features? Do I want to make like a diorama and have something to display it with? Like, there is a whole other art and creativity like that comes with collecting that I think a lot of people totally forget about. But I think it's a fun part of collecting as well.
It is. It is. And that's one thing, like I said before, like a lot of us do tend to forget, and then next thing you know, you're just a hoarder.
Yeah.
You have newspapers and cats like running around. You have cats running around, and you have newspaper piled up. So I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
No order here.
hopefully we won't get there, but yeah, I do feel like I'm starting to accumulate a lot of things, and I'm like, this is getting a little wild.
Yeah.
So okay, cool. So I guess I'll start with my first question. What really sparked your love of Star Wars? What was your introduction to it? What was really like the memory that you have that made you really a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, I think I was like 7 or 8 at the time. I just remember going to my uncle's house for Christmas, and he loved Star Wars at the time, and still does. And he had all the movies on VHS, and he was playing it as a marathon as we just kind of hung around the fireplace, had some food, and no one was really paying attention to the TV in the background that was playing Star Wars, but I was, and I just remember it was like the first scene that I was exposed to was Luke Skywalker walking down that hallway, and Vader coming. It was in Empire Strikes Back, should I say? And Luke was walking down that hallway. I believe it was in Cloud City, and he came across like Vader, and Vader was like throwing all these boxes at him. He's getting hit right everywhere, and I was like, "Who is that dude? Like, who is that guy in that black mask, that awesome like costume?" And he's pretty powerful. And obviously, that was it for me. He's been my guy since I saw him, and he's still my guy. So yeah, that's how I got into Star Wars, and I never looked back. Uh, I never got into collecting though until probably I would say when I was like 25, 26 at the time. I mean, I obviously I got the toys, but I never really collected them. I
Mhm.
like kind of played with them, but in terms of like getting into like collecting them was when I think I was around 25, 26.
Okay. So what really like at that time, what made you really want to start collecting Star Wars stuff?
Yeah, I just think that like it was like little things here and there. I wasn't really like super into it just because I think at the time I wasn't making a lot of money. Like I think the progression of your collection is when you make a little bit, you get a little bit, but once you start making more, then you start getting more.
Mhm.
So I think my introduction was kind of like the lightsabers. I think it was master replicas. I remember getting the Darth Vader master replica Darth Vader saber, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." And I started getting like little figures here and there, but nothing too crazy. I think when New York Comic Con first came to New York, and Kotobukiya had a booth there, I just remember like being blown away with like some of the figures that was displayed in that booth, and they were like I would say 1/7 scale. They were almost like Hot Toy size, like 1/6 scale, but they weren't. But I just remember I was like, wow, these look so detailed, and they look so awesome. So I started picking those like statues up. I would buy them Amazon, or I'll buy them online for like 50 to like $100, which wasn't bad. Then I started collecting Funkos because Funkos at the time was like everywhere.
Mhm.
It wasn't overly saturated as it is now, but back then when you came across like a Boba Fett like Funko Pop, like I was like, all right, I'm picking that up. So and then as the years went along, I would say not too many years passed by, but I just remember I got tickets to San Diego Comic Con, and it
Nice.
was my first time there, and I got all 5 days. I got the preview night and like the rest of like the convention days. And I was like, oh, super cool. I get to go out to California, kind of check out this San Diego Comic Con that everyone's talking about. So I go there and just walking around like the whole convention floor, being like blown away with some of the booths there. But what really blew me away was Sideshow's booth. And I remember I was like, what is this? Like, I can't believe that like Star Wars collectibles can get more detailed as the Kotobukiya ones. This is insane. So I looked at the Hot Toys and I'm like, my gosh, these are like these look amazing. Like these are lifelike. Like wow. I was like, how much are they? $500. I was looking at the Han Solo and Chewbacca set, and I was like, oh my gosh, 500, or is it 450? I forgot. I just remember just like, oh my gosh, that's way too expensive. And then I kept on walking around the booth and I came across their statues. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this beautiful Obi-Wan Kenobi like statue. Oh, look at this Boba Fett statue. And I was like, let me see the price. And I'm like, what? That Boba Fett premium format is like $420 or $440? You're like, what? $440. Who's gonna shell out like that much money for a collectible? And then I was just like, all right, this is out of my league. I gotta keep on moving. And I came back to Jersey and I just was lingering in my head. I'm like looking at my Kotobukiya collection and I'm just like, man, like I really want that statue, right? So I did have a friend that like who lived close by and he collected a lot of Sideshow statues as well. So I asked him, I was like, hey man, like I love to collect these pieces, but they're so expensive. He goes, oh, PeeJay, you didn't know about the payment plan? I'm like, what?
The payment.
Oh yeah, there's like zero interest like payment plan that you could put these collectibles on. I'm like, get the hell out of here. And I went on the website, I did the math, and I was like, wow, I could actually afford this statue. It's like, I might have to shell out $50 a month and maybe sacrifice like my Panda Express like meal a couple days here and there, but I could actually afford this. And then next you know, here we are. I'm buying life-size like bust in the back. I got like Regal Robot statues, like a 1/6 scale Rancor in the back, and I would say about 30 or 40 statues.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of Hot Toys, which I sold, but still.
Still kind of in it, hit and go.
I went a little crazy, let's just say. So.
Yeah. I mean, they've been dropping a lot of heat lately. I was like looking, like I feel like every day I go on Instagram, there's just like a new Hot Toy that's coming out, and I'm like, wow, like these are kind of insane. Like they did the Obi-Wan Kenobi with like the Mandalore outfit. I was like these are crazy. So I don't know, very tempting.
Yeah, here's the thing though, is that when I first started collecting, there wasn't this many options. I just remember like picking up like maybe Return of the Jedi Hot Toys Boba Fett, and I'm like, man, I wish they would put out more Star Wars figures, right? And at the time, collecting Hot Toys wasn't that expensive. It was about like, I would say 180 to 250. But the thing was, what made collecting Hot Toys a lot easier back then was that they didn't have tax on these figures back then. And the rewards points that they gave back to you when you bought a figure was, trust me, at least like twice as much more back then. So it was like, okay, you paid like maybe, let's say $200 for this figure. And sometimes they'll offer free shipping. So it's $200 shipped. But then the amount of like rewards points you get is like 15 to $20. So it's like you would use that to like fund your collection to buy more things. And yeah, it was just a lot easier back then. I would say it's a little bit harder now just because there's like tax on literally everything, which is like so hard because putting a tax, depending on where you live, on a $300 figure can add up. So it's just, yeah, it's a little bit harder. It's just that you got to be smart about like collecting nowadays, right? As opposed to before. But yeah, it's still fun though.
That is, I mean, some valid points. I definitely feel like across the board, though, a lot of like the collectible companies, like I know Funko specifically, because I'm much more into Funko than Hot Toys, at least for now. But I have
Mm-hmm.
noticed that Hot Toys is like really kind of slamming recently. But I just feel like they've gone like crazy. Like we're not even just getting like one solid one like here and there. We're just getting a
Mm-hmm.
bunch at once, and it's like kind of a lot to keep up with. And for people that are like completionists, I feel like it's very tough. I'm not. I could never be a completionist because I feel like that's just really hard. But trying to like, I have to have every single hot toy. I got to have every single Funko. Like, how do you keep up in this day and age when all they're doing is just pumping out new product that isn't even really new? It's just a remake of certain things, like especially Black Series and Funko. Usually just like a repaint.
Yeah. So for me, that's why I jumped out of Hot Toys, right? I still do collect like certain figures if something like speaks to me,
Hmm.
but in the most part, I would say I'm 90% out of it. I would collect statues over Hot Toys just because to me the runs are less. What I've been noticing now is like I would say, give example Sideshow, they're only making the amount of statues that are pre-ordered and maybe a little bit more so that if someone was to like try to pick something up, they still can. But I've been noticing a lot of like the statues have been kind of like selling out pretty quickly or going waitlist just because they're not making as much. Because it's hard to, like, for example, the Ahsoka premium format by Sideshow. Um, I think they made 4,000 of them, right? And it's
Wow.
still sitting on their website. They made 4,000 thinking like everyone and their moms are gonna buy this statue. And if you look on certain times, sometimes it's on sale for like 30% off
Wow.
and free shipping. Like I think it was on sale like a day yesterday, and it was like 30% off plus free shipping, which is great. And that's when you need to take advantage of those deals so that you can stay in the game. As of right now, I just think that you should have a focus. It's hard. For me, I try not to give out too much advice because I've learned that if someone's like focused on getting that figure, no matter what you tell them, they're going to get it. So for
Yeah.
me, what works now is that trying to have a focus and trying to have a vision of how my collection should look. It's really hard now to kind of collect everything. Like it's not 2017 anymore where we could kind of like pick up anything, and if you don't want to keep it, you could sell it and get your money back and use that money to fund your collection. Now is if you buy like for example, like let's say you bought Darth Maul figure, right? And you were like, well, it doesn't fit my collection, and you try to sell it in the aftermarket, you're going to at least lose like $80 on that figure. So it's really hard to fund your collection if you're losing out on every figure that you sell. I mean, I've put a lot of figures right now for sale and they're not moving. And I think I priced them fairly. I priced them fair and it still is not moving. I think people are like looking for astronomical deals. Like, for
Hmm.
example, my IG-11 that I paid like $250 for. I can't move that piece, right? I
Really?
can't sell it. Yeah, it's brand new. People are like offering me $100. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sell it to you for $100. Like maybe
Yeah.
125, 140. But even then, they still don't want to buy it. So it's really hard to sell your figures now if you don't want to keep it. So that's why you got to be really picky and choosy in what you want to keep in your collection. Because if you don't, it's gonna be stuck in your collection for a long time. Unless you sell for dirt cheap, then you could definitely
Yeah.
move it. But that's a loss that I don't know if anyone's willing to take. So I mean, from advice for me right now, for myself, have a focus. Just know that if you were to pick up any collectible, just know that this is the collectible that is going to be in my collection for a very long time. And that's the battle right now with a lot of collectors.
Yeah, I've definitely myself am struggling or fighting that battle too. I've got a bunch of Funkos because when I first started collecting, I was like
Mm-hmm.
super gung ho. I was like, I gotta catch up. I'm so
Mm-hmm.
behind. Like, there's so many figures I need. And then as I've my collection has started to fill up and I'm running out of places to display stuff, I'm like, you know what, I need to reassess, like, what do I really want in my collection? Like, what should my focus be? What pieces do I want? What pieces did I pick up just to
Hmm.
pick up at the time? And now I've
Yeah.
noticed that there's a lot of the Funkos, I just bought them to buy them. They were cheap. I saw them at Target, whatever it was. And now I'm trying to resell them to make room for other ones that I want or just other pieces. And I cannot get them to sell. Like, I'm selling them so cheap too, and there's just nothing, and I'm like, I'll make deals,
Yeah.
like, buy multiple, like, blah, 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 nothing. Not moving.
Yeah, it's just because the markets are really oversaturated, not just with Funko Pops, but with Hot Toys as well.
Yep.
There's a lot of figures and a lot of things are being made, especially Star Wars. I just think because Marvel's been quiet recently, there hasn't been a lot of shows that's been, making a lot of noise. Maybe
Mhm.
X-Men 97, but that's an animated show, right? But besides that, there hasn't been a lot of like Marvel, DC like content where people are going to be excited to buy those figures from Hot Toys. But that's why Hot Toys just strictly just pumping out Star Wars just because it's relevant right now, and which is great for a Star Wars fan. But Hot Toys is not the only company that's pumping out stuff. There is Sideshow, there's Iron Studios, there's XM Studio. There's so many. There's Regal Robot. There's Funko Pops. There's Black Series. There's HasLab. There's a lot of people putting out great products, and it's just you kind of have to sit down and say, all right, this is overwhelming. What do I want in my collection? Like what figure or what statue or what collectible? I know that if I add this to my collection, I am never going to let go of this piece for a very long time. And that's where I am at right now with anything I pick up or look at. I'm like, as opposed to 2017 PeeJay, where I'm like, I want everything Star Wars, like everything. But back then, there was only Hot Toys and Sideshow. There wasn't all this extra companies out there putting out great products. There's also Kotobukiya, Diamond Select Toys. There's a lot. And you just have to be careful because if you're not, then you could go down this rabbit hole and it's really hard to kind of get out of that hole.
Yeah, it is, and it's always interesting too to kind of
Hmm.
see where people in their collecting journey hit, like, kind of, I don't know if it's like a maturing aspect to your collecting, but you start
Hmm.
realizing that you want to really focus, and then it's also cool to see where people start, like what they started collecting and now where they are now. Because like I started with Funkos, now I'm doing, Sideshow and stuff like that, like some of their mini bus, and I feel like there's always a progression. But sometimes I feel like, with the older collectors, they almost end up going like directly to like replica props, like EFX stuff like that. So I feel like there's
Yeah,
always a transition.
there is like for me like so I got out of Funko just because. And please, nothing, no offense to any Funko Pop collectors or even Hot Toys collectors. Just this is me. I'm talking
Mhm.
about myself. Is that with Funko, I just felt that they were oversaturating the market, right? And it's really hard to call it collectible when it's being mass produced.
Yes.
That's just my opinion. Um, but here's the thing too: with Hot Toys, they're also doing the same thing where they're putting out Chrome versions, like what's that called? Gold
Yep.
version, gold Chrome. Okay, here's another exclusive, but this is just the same Obi-Wan Kenobi portrait that was on the Clone Wars version, where we slapped it on a Mandalorian like body. So you're like, as a collector, it's cool, but then you have to sit back and just look at it as a whole and say, wait a minute, that was easy for them to produce, and they're making us go crazy over it. I mean, it's cool, and again, like I wish we had this options when I first started collecting. But honestly, though, there's like upsides and downsides. The upside is that wow, we have so much options right now. It's like
Mhm.
whatever you want, it's made, and but the problem is that you got to be choosy because you can't collect everything, especially when each hot toy is about $300, including tax, and not also including shipping. So that in itself can add up. And if you're a completionist, if you want to complete the Bad Batch line, that in itself was how many team members are there? Four or five? Five. So imagine there's it's like $300 a pop. I say four or five. Tech, Echo,
Hunter, Crosshair. I think
and Crosshair. Five, right? So imagine there's like $300 per figure, not including shipping and tax. That just adds up. That's like $1,500, $1,600 out the door.
Yep.
So you really have to love the Bad Batch figure, because if you don't, later on, in your collecting journey, you're gonna be like, I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said, I don't want to discourage anybody from collecting anything. Collect what you love. I always say collect what you love and love what you collect. And but this is just me right now. I didn't have this many options back then, and I think it made it easier for me, at least easier on my wallet. So I'm not tempted to say, oh my gosh, the Mandalorian Obi-Wan, I need it, right? But I think the market has dictated for me to kind of start being a little selective. It's not me wanting being selective. If they're cheaper, trust me, I'll buy all of them. Right?
Yep.
And I think that's a lot of us. If it was cheaper, we'd buy all of them, but they're not. So yeah, we have to be selective.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, definitely very good advice. I think it's very solid, but especially with how the market is today. But I totally get it. And I guess aside from great collecting advice, what would you say your favorite Star Wars movie is?
Empire Strikes Back. I just feel like it has a special place in my heart. With Revenge of the Sith, a close second. I feel like with Empire Strikes, yes, like a really close second.
Okay.
I just feel like Empire Strikes Back, just because it was the first movie I was exposed to. Plus, I mean, we got Luke being notified that Darth Vader is his dad.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. And it's one of those things where it didn't really have a happy ending. Like the bad guys won. So yeah, it was something like you kind of don't see in cinema back in the day. So I love it for one of those reasons. But yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
Okay. Yeah, I totally get it. It also seems to a trend that I've noticed is sometimes the movie that you're introduced to, or at least the one that you can really put a memory to, I was watching it, is usually sometimes people's favorite movies. So I always find it interesting when people go with that, yeah, the first movie I ever watched, that's my favorite, or they're yeah, that's the first one I watched, but it's not. I mean, I think I watched Phantom Menace first, but Revenge of the Sith, 100% my favorite movie. But I do have an appreciation for the original trilogy. I think they're awesome. So, but I think you mentioned earlier too, you're a big Darth Vader guy. Is he your favorite character, just strictly Vader, or Vader?
Yeah, well,
combo?
Yeah, I kind of put Anakin and Vader together. They're the same person, even though they're kind of technically not. But yeah, just that's my favorite character, just because. I mean, hate to break it to everyone. Skywalker saga is based on is solely because of Vader and Anakin. This is his journey. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's Luke's journey." No, it's Anakin's. It's from having all this potential to falling from grace and then redeeming himself later on. So it's just I mean, how much pressure can someone have when someone's being told, "Hey, you're the chosen one," and you're like, "What?" Yeah, your midichlorian count is off the chain here. You are the chosen one, and we're not sure if we trust you, even though you're the chosen one. And oh, by the way, we're gonna take you away from your mom, and we're gonna not defend Ahsoka. We're not do so many things to kind of make you feel like the Jedi are evil. So yeah, it's just his journey. I just Anakin's my guy, Vader's my guy. So that's why anytime I see him come back in a show, Hayden Christensen, to reprise his role as Anakin, I'm just ecstatic, just because I kind of wish we had a little bit more of his journey, especially when he's in his Vader suit. So hopefully Disney at some point in the future decides to explore that storyline. Actually, they made it into a comic book. It was the second run of the Darth Vader comic book series, and this is where that series takes place literally like right after he gets into his suit, and kind of shows you his struggle of being in that suit, having Sith Inquisitors as his helpers, trying to kill all the Jedi, having so much hate, having regret for killing Padme and all that stuff. So it's definitely a good read if you're looking to reading more about Vader. But I hope they make it into a show. So yeah, Vader's my guy.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I definitely love comics, so I definitely have to take a look into that. But I
Yeah.
even noticed, like, at MegaCon when he was, like, talking and doing his panel, he was like, any opportunity that I can get to put the Jedi robes on again, like, I'm gonna take it. And I think it's amazing that we are finally getting to see him again, because he's always been my favorite character. Like, even since I was a young girl, I loved Anakin, I loved Vader. I was shook when he became Vader. I was like, no, like, this is crazy. But I think it's awesome that he's finally going to Comic-Con. Like, I got to meet him at MegaCon. I know you just got an autograph from him too.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool that like people are finally starting to show him the love that he deserves for that role and wanting him to come back. And I think that love is making him want to come back too.
Yeah, I hope and that's why when I met him at Philadelphia Fan Expo and I got his autograph, the first thing I said to him was that I'm a huge fan since Life as a House, because not too many people know this, but he was nominated for a Golden Globe award as a best supporting actor, and he almost won. And in that movie, he plays like this emo, troubled kid, and that's one of the reasons why he got the part as Anakin, because Anakin's an emo, troubled kid. And it's not his fault that the lines that were given to him weren't well written. And I love George Lucas, right? He's a great storyteller. I just don't think he can write scripts. I think he should refrain from writing scripts, right? Yeah. Or if he does write the script, I think he should have someone look over it and say. And there's been a lot of actors on record saying, like Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, even Harrison Ford, like, George, like, I can't say this. This doesn't make any sense. What are you telling me to say? So, and Hayden probably at the time just didn't want to, like, fight back with some of the lines. He just did what he could. But honestly, yeah, Hayden's he's a good kid, and a good kid. Yeah, he's like both younger. He's the same age as me. He's a good guy. So definitely recommend anybody that is looking to get his autograph to do so. So
yeah, I definitely want to get his autograph. I got a picture with him, but I feel like they totally were just like pushing us through, and I was so starstruck when I met him. Like, I like couldn't even speak. I like saw him. I started tearing up. I was like, this is crazy. But I did get to listen to his panel the night before, or maybe it was it was Saturday night. And it was just like totally changed my perspective of him. Like, I've always loved him, but it made me love him more. And same thing with Ewan, but I did think Hayden's panel side was a little bit better, but maybe I'm just biased. But I think it was just cool that they're finally starting to come and do these conventions. They're wanting to go to like Star Wars Celebration. They're wanting to dock and meet with their fans. Like, I think it's amazing. So
yeah, and obviously, when we go to these conventions to get their autographs and have them sign something, there's so many fans that want to do the same. So your time is so limited, even though you're like, oh man, I want to tell him so much and say thank you for all the things that he's done in Star Wars. You're like, hey, I want to thank you. Smile, and then they're like, go, like, get out of here. Next. And they're like, oh, okay, bye, Hayden. Like, nice meeting you. And it's like, and which is understandable, because he's, it's well deserved for him. But like you said, like, you kind of wish you had a little bit more, like, just a little bit more time with him.
Yeah, I wish I could like tell him like you've been my favorite. Like I could barely even get words out to begin with, and then they
Hmm.
were like smile, and then they like the flash went off, and they were like move it, and I was like like I
I
couldn't
know.
even formulate words. Like there was so much I wanted to say to him, but like they were running behind, so they were just pushing us through. Like it
I
was
know, like
kind of
cattle.
crazy. Yeah, literally. But I mean, I get it. There are a lot of people there that want to meet him, especially the bigger
Mhm,
conventions and celebration and stuff. There's a ton of
mhm.
people there. Like you're not the only one that wants to say stuff to him, you know. So I kind of get why
Yeah.
they kind of push you through a little bit, but it does suck because I would love you. You're paying a lot of money essentially to really get an autograph or a photo with them, and you maybe get max 30 seconds.
Oh no, yeah. So for me, when I got my autograph, oh trust me, I even though it was like 30 seconds, I really like made sure I got like 40 seconds.
Okay.
So, but they were like, "Come on, come on!" I'm like, all right, I'm going, going." And I purposely kept on moving without like getting the pen because he was like, "Hey, you forgot your pen." I'm like, "Oh, hey, just one more time, thank you, bye bye," and I left. So they're like, "All right, let's blacklist PeeJay from like ever getting his autograph again."
Yeah.
So
Okay. Cool.
yeah, but Hayden, Anakin, Vader, yeah,
Sure.
we need
You're
more
your guy.
Vader.
We do.
Yeah.
I would love to see more like a Vader series, like just have Hayden kind of, you could do flashbacks to Anakin, have him be in the Vader suit because I thought that was
Oh yeah.
phenomenal. Honestly, my favorite part of the Kenobi series was getting to see him in the
Mhm.
Vader suit, and I was like, wow, like this is great. Of course, the de-aging could have been a little bit better in some scenes, but you can't win
Yeah.
everything. But I think overall, like getting to see, the flashbacks and things like that, and then see him actually in the Vader suit was like very surreal. And I know a lot of people like shit on the Kenobi series, but I just don't know. I understand how there's definitely things that could be cut out of it, but I think what we gained from it and like what we got to see is much more positive than negative.
Yeah. So for me in the Kenobi, I enjoy. Listen, for me, I enjoy good majority of like Star Wars content. Like as a
Hmm.
Star Wars fan, I would never want Star Wars to fail. The only disappointing part is that the budget that they were given to make this show, plus ever since I've been following like a lot of the news ever since Disney bought Star Wars, right? And originally they were going to make it into a movie. And the movie like kind of like was halted because of The Last Jedi and some people were pissed off and they just held it back a little bit. Then when they were talking about reprising Kenobi again, there were so many like drama in the back scenes where writers were leaving, changing, whatever. And then they were like, "Oh, it should be a mini series, so like 4 episodes, but then extended to 6." The reason why they did do that is because they want to have you subscribe longer. Because if everyone's like coming in and subscribing for like a month, there's 4 weeks in a month. So they want you to be subscribed for at least 2 months. So they add the extra 2 episodes, and that's how it gets greenlit. But by doing that, then you're like kind of now your budget goes down just because now you have 2 more episodes you got to film. Plus, on top of that, um, now you're just making up stuff to fill in the fill in those 2 episodes. So I don't know. I just feel like they need to go back to the drawing board. They'll make money because I know it's all about money, right? They'll make money, but just make shows and movies organically. Don't force it. The money will come in just organically if it's done the right way. So,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I definitely think that I try to be a very positive person towards any new Star Wars project. Like I'm super excited about the Acolyte, but I
mhm,
do understand where people have their dislikes and stuff like that. Like I definitely am not a lover of the sequel series, but I do know like when it comes now that Disney has purchased Star Wars, it is about the money. It's about the streaming service. It's about what they can get out of it, which I think
mhm.
is tough because there are so many Star Wars fans out there that want new Star Wars. And if you just give it to them, they'll subscribe to watch it. Like you don't have to drag it out, you don't have to extend it out. Like you can give us short series that are really meaningful. And I think we would appreciate that more than just giving us a series but dragging it out twice as long as it needs to be.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that it's just all about money, which is a shame. It shouldn't be about that, because I mean, look at when Marvel first started, right? And look at all the love and hard work that went into those, like the end game, or was there, should I say, the Infinity Saga, right?
Hmm.
There was so much thought that went into it, and every Easter egg kind of connected with another movie and things like that. I just kind of wish that Lucasfilms would approach it that way and just say, listen, we're just going to make great content for our Star Wars fans. And if we do that, we'll make money. We'll make money regardless. For example, and I'm going to just take 2 seconds to show you what's the reason. Sorry. Here is the reason why Lucasfilms is like making a lot of money, because of this guy,
Yeah.
right? Who made this? John Favreau, who also made, Iron Man, and he made those projects out of his love for Star Wars and for Iron Man. And look how successful they are. This this little guy has made more money than those sequels, guaranteed. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I could guarantee you that this guy made more money. And I'm just gonna leave him here.
Yeah. Let him hang with
So.
us. Let him vibe. Yeah. I mean, I
Oh,
definitely think
Lex, you gotta get one of these, okay?
I
I don't know if you're a Grogu guy, girl, but this is definitely, you have to.
I love Grogu. I think when it comes to the collecting aspect, there's so many Grogus, but I
Uh-huh.
love the character himself. Like Grogu, when I watch him on screen, I
Uh-huh.
always watch and I always have a smile on my face. But when it comes to the collecting part, like I can't even count on one hand how many Grogu Funko Pops there are. So
I
it's
know.
collecting wise, it's tough, but as a character, like I always light up when I see him. Like I love Grogu, but collecting it's hard. But that piece right there is so realistic. I feel like I do have to have it. So at
I,
some
I'm
point,
I'm in the same boat as you, Lex, with all these Grogu collectibles, but this has to
yeah.
be my favorite. As much as I'm kind of burnt out with Grogu, just how lifelike he looks with this one, and plus they got this mold out of the original prop, so
Oh
that's
wow.
why it looks. The people that made this were the same people that made the prop itself. They just worked with Sideshow to make sure that this is as real as the movie prop.
Yeah. And I think you sent me some pictures of him too, so I can pull those up and we can
Yeah.
take a look at your collection.
Yeah, it's a little bit of my collection. Like I said, I'm gonna put this back. I don't know if people want to see him on screen, but I'm gonna put him back. But yeah, no, I'm still working on it. So I'm sure, hopefully this year I get to do a room tour and
Yeah.
give you guys an update on my collection.
100%. I think a lot of us will be looking forward to it. So these are two pictures that you sent me. I see them all behind you right now, but I think it's
Yeah,
so menacing looking.
it's actually, I got it for a steal for price, which I recommend
Mhm.
to anybody when collecting. This was told to me by a fellow collector, and I took his advice, and it's worked out for me so many occasions. So when you want a piece, just be patient, right? Because there will be an opportunity at some point in your collecting journey to grab that piece at a steal of a price. So I recommend just be patient, and it will come to you. And when it does come to you, don't hesitate. Just buy it. Like, put in your credit card and just buy it, and you will save a ton of money that way. But yeah, I got that mall for $800.
Wow. How much does
Yeah,
it
it was.
normally go for?
I think over 1,000, 1,200, not including shipping. So I was able to meet up with a local collector who was selling it, and it was basically brand new. So yeah, I love that mall. As you can see in the background, it's like you said, it's pretty menacing. I got the Disney Parks like collectible Darth Maul saber, the one that has
In
the
the box?
music when it plays. Yeah. So
Okay.
what I was thinking is actually putting that saber in front of this bust, and having a Ray Park signature plaque signed. I mean, Ray Park signature plaque in front of it as well, and just display it that way.
Yeah. I think that's what Tony kind of has. I don't think he has the Ray Park signature. I think he's getting that, but I think he has like a whole like Darth Maul shrine. But he loves Darth Maul, so I get it.
Yeah, and actually, my co-host Sean, he loves Maul too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think he had something similar, like a Darth Maul bust. I don't think it was this one, but I think he has a Darth Maul bust.
Yeah, he does have one. Yeah, I think it's on top of his shelf somewhere. But yeah, and that's my Royal Guard premium format. So I love that Royal Guard. I just wish I had an Emperor to kind of like pair it up with.
Okay. Well, didn't they just do a or they like put him back on the market or something? The Emperor Palpatine like hot toy.
Yeah, no, this is a statue.
Oh, it's a statue. Okay.
Yeah, this Royal Guard is a statue. So yeah.
Yeah. You have to find a sideshow statue, I guess, of Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, hopefully they make one in the future. I do have one, but it's the Mythos, which is behind me.
Oh
But
yeah.
that Mythos is like 1/5 scale. That Royal Guard is 1/4 scale. Oh, there's Grogu.
Yes, there he is. He's so cute.
You gotta get one, Lex. You could probably get one for. If you look around, you could probably get one for $200.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That might be my next submission. That might
Yeah.
be. I would love to have one. I love him as a character, and I feel like maybe having that versus like 800 different little
Yes.
Funko Pops.
Yes,
Probably
I
better.
100% agree. Trust me, I'm not a big huge Grogu guy, and trust me, I'm Grogu'd out myself. But every time I look at this piece, I'm like, all right, I still like him a little bit.
Yeah, I was looking at the pictures as I was putting them together, and I was like, he is just so adorable. Like, I just love him. But it's hard to collect his products lately. But I get it.
I know. Yeah, and the one to the left is my XM Studios Revan. And I love Revan. I don't know if you played Knights of the Old Republic. Like, so it's a mobile game. You can actually download it on your phone. I'm not sure if you know that. Yeah. So I know it's a little outdated with the graphics, and I know they're remaking it, but it is like the best Star Wars game I've ever played in my entire life. I don't know if you know much about the storyline. You do? So you
I've
know what
watched
happens.
like playthroughs and stuff, and I've read up on like the character because he's such like an enigma to me. But I haven't actually like played a lot of the games. I've like watched some of the playthroughs and like the story aspects of it. But it's been my goal to play it. I just feel like finding time to sit down and like play a video game lately is like really tough.
I know. Well, if you ever wanted to play it, like the older version, you could download it on your phone and you could play it. But if not, just look up or watch some videos on like the storyline. It is. I just remember playing this game and my jaw dropped with the twist, which I'm not sure if you know about the twist, but it was the same way my jaw dropped when I found out that Vader is Luke's dad. I'm like, what? Like what? This is crazy. But yeah, XM Studios makes this. It's a great, great piece. I just kind of wish it lights up, the sabers light up, but it doesn't. But whatever, it's not a deal breaker. So
Yeah, it's a pretty cool piece, and I think Revan's character is just so unique that really any piece that they or like collectible that they do of him is like typically pretty spot on. I mean, even his Funko, like there's a Darth Revan and like a Jedi Revan, and their Funkos are amazing. And I saw Hot Toys, and I think we talked about it on the Sithcast, but they did one of him too, and I was like, dude, like that is crazy looking. Like I just love his character; it's so cool.
Oh yeah, I really hope that Disney dives into the Old Republic, just because there's so much story in that era. And if I were to compare it to another show, it's like Game of Thrones because there's a lot of houses in that era. So yeah, I mean I'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's a lot of houses, a lot of like factions. There's bounty hunters, there's Sith, there's Jedi's, there's pretty cool. Definitely recommend people looking into playing that game.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out. I love Game of Thrones and I'm super excited for like House of Dragons to start up, so maybe
Me
you
too.
just sparked me to find time to play this.
Yeah, if not, just look at a lot of the videos. It's very interesting videos. So
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got some more of your statues.
yeah, sorry, I was I'm like I don't have a steady hand. I'm like, "Ugh." But
It's okay.
yeah, because I was just I should have just like sat down. I was just like bending over and trying to like take a snap pic. But yeah, that's my Kylo Ren on the right. Yes, I'm not a sequel guy, but this statue and that character was probably the only character I loved in the sequels. Just because his character progression was consistent. I don't know about the ending, but I don't know about the reload, but
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, just this design, this costume was so amazing. I actually dressed up as Kylo Ren to the Force Awakens premiere one year when it was premiering or airing, not airing, premiering that year. I remember I was looking around in Etsy looking for like a helmet maker, and I found one, Wicked Armor, and he was able to make me that same exact helmet. And I found through Etsy as well, like the outfit, which I kind of like conjured up together. And I was like on the news. They were like, "Yeah, this loser is dressed up as this 35-year-old loser is dressed up as Kylo Ren." But yeah, no. But it was so hard to dress up for the premiere. I remember just because um, at that I guess they were just being careful with anybody wearing helmets. I couldn't wear the helmet
Uh,
inside the movie theater. But what I did was when I left right in front of when I was right in front of the movie theater, I put it on. So people were like taking pictures.
that's
Um,
cool.
yeah, so Sideshow's on the right, one of my favorite pieces. Really cool looking. One of my favorite Kylo Ren pieces. On the left is XM Studios Luke Skywalker. Obviously, this is a shot of him looking up at the AT-AT, and he was about to take his like grappling gun and just shoot in the bottom of the belly of the AT-AT and try to, you know, get in there.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, that is a pretty cool piece. I feel like a lot of people have that one in their collection, but I just love the base of it. Like I feel like the bases
Mhm.
really can elevate a statue like so much instead of it
Oh
just
yeah,
being like black and kind of like basic. Like when it's really adds to the figure, I think it is like top tier.
yeah, because you wanted to tell a story because they're not posable, so you
Yeah.
kind of have to capture a moment with statues where you're like every time you look at it, you get reminded of that scene. So with Kylo Ren on the right, it reminds me when he like holding Rey like when
Mhm.
she's like frozen. That is what I picture when he's doing that on the right. On the left is what I picture like Luke like
Like,
using his grappling gun to get into the bottom of
yeah.
the belly.
Yeah, I definitely think it like is totally top tier when the statues can like really convey a scene. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
think that makes it so much better. So I get
yeah.
it. I totally get it. And these
Oh
guys, that Vader is so sick. The one on the right.
yeah. So that is my price piece. Like I would never sell that piece. It is one of my favorite pieces in my collection. It's the Mythos Vader, and that's one thing I love about statues. Is like I said before, it could tell a story. So the Mythos Vader on the right is basically you could feel the inner turmoil, the pain and the suffering he's going through by him looking at that helmet and saying, "Damn, I effed up." Sorry, I'm not gonna curse.
Yep.
I effed up bad. Like, what did I do? And he's just standing on Mustafar, and his robe is like getting burned and stuff. So yeah, pretty awesome. And the one on the left is the Iron Studios Vader, another price piece of my collection. I just remember that a lot of people were making fun of it, just because. That's why I never listen to other collectors. Always,
Yeah.
if a piece speaks to you, just pick it up, right? No matter how much hate it's getting online, because we live in a lot of like social media platforms now. So you may like a piece, but someone else will voice their opinion on how much they hate it for some reason, and you're like, oh no, should I buy this piece? Never listen to them. If it speaks to you, pick it up. So this piece, a lot of people are saying, oh, was he holding like a baseball bat? Like, because he's holding his saber like this. Like, oh, who holds their saber like this? But actually, if you look at the cover of Lords of the Sith book, he is holding, this is exactly the same pose he has in that book. And yeah, I bought it for $650, and now it's worth like over $1,000 just because it's such a rare piece. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, I thought when I was looking at the picture, I was like, this thing looks really dope. I didn't even think about the lightsaber. Like maybe he could have just been going upwards. Like, I think people just
Yeah,
kind of
people
nitpick
just.
everything. So
Well, I think those people who are complaining about it probably are not going to pick it up. So it's
yep,
usually the case.
probably. And I think the
Yeah, but
Mythos line I think
mhm.
is really cool because of the paint job and the accents that they're able to get. Like if you look at his arm, he's got like you could just tell there's just so much effort put into those, which I love.
Yeah, it was I love that Mythos variant. And like I said, I was patient and I got it for a steal of a price. A local collector was selling it brand new. And that piece alone can go over for like $1,000, and I got it for like 600. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a phenomenal piece. I think the I didn't put it as the next one, but I saw the Palpatine behind him, which you did send a picture of, but we'll get to him, I guess.
Yeah, sorry my pictures are blurry. I should
Oh, it's okay.
yeah, so here's so my Django premium format and my Boba Fett on the right, which is also a nice price piece of my collection just because it holds a sentimental value in my collection just because it was my first statue and I remember saving up a lot of money to pick it up. And then I just remember when I picked it up, I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And that's how I got hooked into statues. And on the left was Jango Fett premium format statue by Sideshow. I just felt like, father and son, and it just kind of matches together. So yeah.
Yeah, they definitely pair very well together, I think. The father and son duo. It's pretty
Mhm.
I love that. Those are
Yeah.
cool. Oh,
Oh yay! Yeah. I was trying to get a good shot of that Iron Studios Yoda. So the one on the right, again, got it for silver price. You see where I'm going with my theme here. So obviously he is trying to levitate the X-wing. That if you look at the base, the wing is right there. So he's trying to elevate the, the X-wing off of the swamp of Dagobah, just like in Empire Strikes Back. And the one on the left is it's like Kotobukiya. It's like almost like a Mythos line. I like this. I like these small pieces because I could add them to like I could put them on my desk. I love desk pieces, right? Because when you're sitting down, you look at that piece and you're like, all right, it's pretty cool. So it's almost like their Mythos line and it's the Tusken Raider.
I didn't
And
realize he was tinier. I thought he was going to be much bigger than that.
no, it's about like 1/8, 1/7 scale. So it's just a cool pose.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool statue. So he's like ready to kick some booty in Tatooine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sick. And I do like the Yoda Dagobah situation. At first I was like, is that like an incense situation? But it's not.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, it could be cool if it was like coming down the smoke and stuff and make it like very Dagobah type. But I think those are both
Yeah.
really, really cool pieces.
Yeah, I should have taken a better picture of the base because if you actually look into it, there's like some fishes in like that
Oh, really?
base. It's like a clear resin. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I can see the wing like a little bit, but I can't see the little fishies.
yeah, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, no
Oh
worries.
yeah, by the way, I'm not sure if you can see. There is like a little box on the right side.
Yes.
Inside the box is the lightsabers.
Oh, cool. Like the little miniature ones?
Yeah, I guess
Sick.
it's his.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I like the little interactive pieces of him.
Yeah. Again, sorry for the blurry pictures. The one on the right is yeah, I see. I didn't put on this jetpack just because I wasn't sure if it's gonna fit. So I kind of put it to the side. Plus, I have to put the batteries on because the little like chest plate lights up. So yeah, that's a life-size Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, and got it again at a great price, local collector, brand new. And on the left is XM Studios Boba Fett, which if you're ever interested in this piece, you could get it for a great price now. I think I paid like $1,000 for it when I first got it. Now they're selling for like 500, so which is not bad. Yeah, it's a very dynamic piece, and I love like the flame that's coming out of his like flamethrower.
Yeah, especially and the jetpack, like the smoke coming down. It's like definitely very unique in how it's carved. I think that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's what I love about. It's one thing I love about statues. It tells a story, and that's what you want out of these statues.
I mean, 100%. If you're paying that money, it should be worth it. So I get it. And I do like that the bust of Boba Fett. I think Eben has one, and he had like the light up, and I was like, that thing is so cool. And that was the first time I've ever seen that, and I was like, those are so cool. Like I love these life-size busts.
Yeah, I gotta put it together. Yeah, I gotta put it the light up. It lights up. I think I forgot there's a battery. I'm not sure. I have to look into it.
Yeah, well, I think it like comes across like on his chest or something, and it just like keeps going. And I was like, that is like so cool. Like, and it's just like a piece. But he has a bunch of the other busts and stuff, and I was just fascinated that one like lights up and everything. I was like, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we got little Grogu again.
Yeah, the one on the left is my life-size Han Solo in carbonite. So if I told you how much I paid for this piece, I think you would have passed out on how amazing of a price I got it for. So yeah, again, local collector, hooked me up. I don't know if you can see the theme. And like I said, when I saw the price that he was selling it for, I was like, yeah, when can we meet? I don't know how I'm going to come up with this money, but I got to pick it up. So definitely below retail, way below retail. But yeah, love my life size Han Solo carbonite. I just never thought I will own something life size. This is probably going to be my only one, I think, unless I get more room somewhere, just because it takes up so much room. It does. Just like literally. I was afraid because it's like 9 feet tall, and I wasn't sure my ceilings were gonna I wasn't sure if it was gonna touch the ceiling. I think I had like maybe 6 inches left from the very top to the ceiling, so I barely made it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool piece. I know Sean had like made one on the back of his door, which I thought was a phenomenal idea. But I do like when it stands and it's got its base. Like I always see them in comic shops and stuff, and they're so cool. But I would be like, where would I even put that? Like, how would I even get that home? Like, it just
I don't know. I put this piece together, and it was kind of hard putting it together by yourself. Because the way it latches on, you're like, okay, did I get it right? Oh my gosh. But yeah, I was able to do it. And definitely recommend if anyone's going to, I think it's sold out, but if anyone's going to pick up this piece, definitely need like 2 people to put it on. Don't be like me.
Especially if it's that like tall, then 100%. Is it heavy?
No, the Han Solo carbonite is not heavy. The base itself is heavy.
Okay.
Which makes sense because you kind of have to have it heavy so it holds it in place.
Yeah.
But no, the carbonite is not that heavy.
Okay.
But it's such a cool piece, man. Oh my gosh, so cool.
Yeah, I would love to have one of those, but now I'm kind of like, you know what? I could just put one on the back of my door like Sean did, and kind of
that's another great option. And his came out amazing. I'm looking at it, I was like, damn, he probably didn't spend that much as much as I did, but yeah. But this one was.
You're standalone. It has a base. It's like it's different, but the same thing in a way. Yeah. But I think it's more realistic to have it the way that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And then I see
Rancors behind baby Rancors. I love Rancors. Rancors are like my favorite Star Wars creature. Yeah. Okay. Anything Rancor. Like I bought the Rancor flight. I don't know if I told you from Disney parks. So I'm gonna put it next to. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I just bought it because it's Rancor. So the one on the left is the Regal Robot Rancor. I spent a pretty penny on it, but I have no regrets. It's molded from the same prop that was used in the movie. So if you look at it, it's just it's signed by Phil Tippett. And the one on the right is a different type of Rancor. You can see it. It's ginormous.
Yeah, it's huge.
I'd say it's a 1/6 scale Rancor, so it could display well with your like Hot Toys and stuff. So yeah, love it. I mean, these are the pieces like I'm definitely not selling. I want to keep in my collection for a very long time. Actually, all these pieces I'm not gonna looking to sell because I'm just so happy with it. Maybe my Kylo, but
we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Kylo one's still a cool piece, but I think the Rancor, like you have a lot of phenomenal pieces in your collection. Very impressive.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah, still, still growing collection and still have to make it look nicer, my collection room. So hopefully I could have the guts to do a collection room tour.
Yeah, you gotta do it. It's a part of the process. You gotta show off all your work at the end of the day.
Oh, I'm glad that picture came out good because I wasn't sure. It took me a couple tries, but it was like blurry. The one on the left is my premium format Maul, which look at it. It looks freaking phenomenal. It comes with a single blade and a double bladed lightsaber, so I can switch it out. I just kept the single one. But yeah, I'm glad that picture came out great because it looks like it's supposed to be him in Naboo, right when he's fighting Kenobi and Qui-Gon. Such a phenomenal piece. And the one on the right is my Mythos Asajj Ventress. Oh, it's still available, and I highly recommend this piece to anybody that's a Asajj Ventress fan. If you could have one Asajj Ventress in your collection, this has to be it. Like, don't buy anything else. Yeah. But yeah, because she's in her Night Sisters outfit. It's just phenomenal.
And it's a part of the Mythos line, which seems to just produce bangers. So I get it.
Yeah. And one thing about Mythos is they're 1/5 scale, so they don't take up a lot of room. As you can see here in the back, they're kind of small. So I'm kind of like trying to figure out where I want to display those just because they're not tall. So I got to figure out another place for it. But yeah, I definitely recommend the Mythos Asajj.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, those are two great pieces. The Maul looks... I think Maul, just anything, looks phenomenal. Big Maul fan, but it looks so good. I have nothing else to say, but it looks good.
Yeah, sorry, the lighting sucks on this one. Yeah, the one on the left is my Mythos Emperor Palpatine. I know it got a lot of flack online just because they were like, "Oh, he looks like Mary Poppins flying like that," but I don't care. I love that piece. The portrait looks amazing, and great looking piece. And the one on the right is a Mythos Maul. The one on the right is sculpted by the Kachark brothers, the same people who sculpted the Asajj Ventress, and I think they sculpted that Mythos Vader, the new one. So, Legends in the game. So that's one thing about collecting statues too, is that you start like, if you have a favorite sculptor, you start like I don't know, going towards that sculptor just because you're a fan of his work.
Mm-hmm.
So the Kachark brothers are legend in the game. So yeah, they made that Maul on the right.
Okay.
And
so
the new Mythos.
Do you have like all of the Mythos line, or are there still others out there?
A good majority. I missed out on the Mythos Obi-Wan Kenobi, the older version. They're coming out with a newer version of it, but it's a quarter scale. So I'm definitely not missing out on that. I missed the Mythos Gamorrean Guard. That one's a very, very rare piece. Very rare, but yeah. I have a good majority of them, but not all of them.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I didn't know how many there were like out there, but it seems like you have a decent amount of them. So I was like, do you have all of them? But
the Mythos, just because it tells a story, And
Yeah,
yeah,
I totally get it.
those. But definitely recommend Mythos line if you're looking to pick up some, some cool Star Wars pieces.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And I guess my last question for you, the one that I always kind of end the podcast with, is
Mhm.
what is your favorite piece in your collection? Could be most valuable, could be based off like a memory, just your favorite piece.
We saw it, Mythos Vader, just because it just tells so much. I mean, I have a lot of like favorites in my collection, like the Rancors. They're like my favorites, but the Mythos Vader is like up there, just because it's just such a it's and how it's I don't know how to explain it. It's it's been around in the community for a long time, meaning like I think it was released in like 2016, 2017. Until this day, it still holds its like value, right? And it's
Yeah.
still an amazing piece. Even a new version came out, people still want to get the old version. Usually, when the new version comes out, people want to get the newest version,
Hmm.
but people still clamor to try and get the older Mythos Vader. Yeah, that piece is just phenomenal. And something that has a sentimental value in my collection is the Boba Fett, just because it was my first piece. I never thought I would be able to afford a statue, right? I was in the same boat as you. I was like, oh, Funko Pops are easy, they're cheap. But here I am, like with a ton of statues and life size busts. And yeah, that was just like my gateway drug. And it's just, I look at it and say, wow, okay, it's doable. It's
Yeah,
not out of reach, these statues. So,
100%. Okay, and I'm gonna try something new, and I'm gonna see if it
okay.
sticks. Because this is a collecting-based podcast. If you could give, you've given a lot of good advice, so this might be a little hard. If you can give one solid piece of advice to collectors out there, what would it be?
As much as I want to give all this advice out there to collectors and try to prevent them from making the mistakes, it's just like in life in general. I always say, do what you love what you collect, do what you love, or love what you collect what you love what you collect, whichever. Um, don't listen to me or anyone else. If it speaks to you, just pick it up. If there is mistakes that you have to make as a collector, make them, because that will. It's just like life. Like if someone tells you, "Oh, don't do that, Lex. Don't ever do this, do that." Like, how would you know you could get better as a person if you don't make those mistakes? Same with collecting. How would you know like how you want your collection to be when you don't make those mistakes? Right? I
Yeah,
made many mistakes, but those mistakes have you know uh, carved out like how I want my collection to look like. So
100%. Okay, that is a good piece of advice. Love what you collect and collect what you love. We'll
yep.
go with that. Okay, cool. And I guess before we jump off, I will link all of your information down in the description for your channel, the Sithcast podcast. But before we go, can you let people know one more time where they can find you if you have anything upcoming that you want people to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, again, Lex, this was a lot of fun. I can't believe it's been an hour already. I felt like
Yeah.
I think I might have talked too much, so I do
No.
apologize if I was rambling on and on. But yeah, if you guys can check me out on Sithcast with my co-host Sean every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. We talk anything and everything Star Wars, and my Paradox Nerd. So this is just like I would say one half of my collection. I still have the other half to review, so I'm starting that back up again. And hopefully, my goal this year is to do a room tour with the finished product or somewhat of a finished product, because with collection room tours it's never really done. So yeah, definitely check me out on Paradox Nerd. Thank you again, Lex.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. And make sure to go check out PJ's channels. And I will see everybody next Thursday.
Bye, guys.